Hello guys, this is Brian Mounts, RentTorqueMechanic.com. Today we're going to talk about killing broadleaf weeds in the middle of the winter, or at least in cold weather. Let's call it the end of fall through the winter into early spring. If your weather is cold, this video will apply.
I've got a broadleaf weed. Now, before I spray it, you can look at the veins on it. So it's got the central vein. You see how the veins go laterally out of it? That is representative of a dicot. Look at that. It's another small broadleaf weed right there. As opposed to grass, so a grass blade, the veins are all parallel. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and spray this down. At dawn this morning, it was about 28, 29 degrees, and everything was frozen and frosty. Right now, it's the warmest part of the day, and every day from here on is going to be colder than that.
Here in this channel, I've said a number of times that it's not good to attempt to kill winter weeds in the middle of the winter because herbicides are simply not designed to work on the weeds like that. Cool season grasses, one of the most common weed killers is a 2,4-D product. 2,4-D works to kill weeds by, it's an auxin type. It basically forces the cellular structure of the weeds to reproduce so fast that it just dies, almost like cancer. Down south, for some of the more sensitive southern grass type lawns, atrazine is a common weed killer that's used instead of 2,4-D. It's also a chemical-based herbicide, but it works to disrupt the photosynthesis process of weeds. All of these chemical processes basically make the assumption that the weeds are actively growing. Now, they might be green, but does that actually mean that they're growing? This is why as the temperatures drop, weeds do grow, but they grow slower and slower and slower. And on the particularly cold nights, they go into a semi-dormant state where they're still green, they haven't died off, but they have stopped actively growing. And that's why as temperatures drop, the chemical herbicides become less and less and less effective. Now, there's lots of state and local restrictions on using the chemical herbicides in addition to all of the environmental factors. But what I'm going to be suggesting as an alternative to that is using chelated iron.
All right, for this demonstration, I'm going to be using this Natria product. This is just an over-the-counter FeHEDTA. There are some stronger ones out there that you can buy online. I've never seen stronger ones at my local stores. Never really looked for them either, though. This is widely available, and it's going to be perfect for demonstrations.
There are products out there that use chelated iron that is specially formulated to be able to be spot sprayed on broadleaf weeds, and they will kill them. Now, chelated iron is not a chemical herbicide whatsoever. It's a necessary plant mineral that's used by our lawns. The formulation of this, which is usually put on labels, is called FeHEDTA or Iron FeHEDTA.
So when it comes to killing weeds in cold weather with an Iron FeHEDTA product, you need to pick and choose the warmest day of them all. And if you've got a stretch of a few warm days in the middle of the winter, choose the latter of the warmer days.
Now, FeHEDTA stands for a crazy long, I'm going to call it scientific word, but the whole point of it, and when you spray it on the lawn, the grass will not die, but the broadleaf weeds do. And the reason for that is broadleaf weeds are dicots. They basically have a different structure to them than grasses, which are monocots.
Here's some next to the lawn. This is an interesting one. I'm curious if this will die. Got a lot of leaf surface to hit.
Plants that grow in our lawn, the desirable turf grasses, and then the broadleaf weeds act differently when this chelated iron is applied to them. Dicots will absorb the iron and it will be too much for them to process, and they will instantly start dying. Whereas the grass will absorb the iron and will be able to take it. So although this is a natural product, it is what would be considered to be a selective product. It's going to select the undesirables in our lawn and kill them off. Now, the iron application that goes into the broadleaf weed kills it through another mechanism that's unrelated to the chemical ones that I previously mentioned. It's going to kill these plants through iron necrosis, basically toxicity. The plant takes in so much iron that it dies. My point here is that it doesn't require the weed to be actively growing, so the temperature range of its use can actually go a little bit lower.
And here's my outdoor thermometer, just to show you where we're at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's about 52, 51 to 52.
I'll follow up and give you an after effect, maybe in a couple hours, and maybe, I don't know, 48, 36, we'll see. Now, if you're using a 2,4-D product up north, you're likely going to be only able to apply the herbicide to a weed that is actively growing when temperatures drop to at least 45 degrees, maybe 40 degrees. If the overnight temperature is dropping below 40 degrees, it's just the weed's not going to be active enough to take in the herbicide and use it to die. The same thing goes for the warm season grasses, where people like yourself are putting down atrazine. As the temperature gets lower, the weed is just not able to take in the herbicide. So generally the colder end thresholds for using chemical herbicides are overnight temperatures that don't drop below 40 degrees and daytime temperatures that are at least 55. But on the lower end of the spectrum, no matter what, it's going to be a much slower kill, and you're going to have to use a much stronger product, something that you don't normally find on the store shelves at your local big box store. I personally don't use those extremely potent chemical herbicides, so I can't show you any, but I will link to 1 or 2 of them down below if you're interested. What I do use from time to time, however, is the Iron FeHEDTA products. These are going to give you an even lower threshold for temperatures. Now, right now, it looks like early fall in my lawn. Everything looks really nice. But the thing is, it's December 4th right now. Our overnight temperatures are generally every single day dropping to about 28, 29, 30 degrees. And our daytime temperatures right now are consistently getting to 49, 50, and 51. Our average soil temperatures are about 40 degrees right now. This is about as cold as it gets for me using Iron FeHEDTA products on the lawn. All right, 2 hours and 20 minutes have gone by. It's now dusk. It's 4:20. You can see the sun is getting low. It's actually gone behind the cloud. Let's take a look at our temperature. Temperature has dropped now to 49. So after 2 hours, 20 minutes, our leaf here still looks moist. Look at that. There's still fresh iron on there. A little bit of browning. I'll have to check the footage to see if that browning was there earlier. And then this little teeny one here is also still moist. So we'll see how that's going. And then I just sprayed the ground right here. No change. I'll do a quick look at the other ones, and then I'm just gonna not look at these for a couple days and see what they look like, because it's gonna really start getting cold. At this point, I don't see visual change. But my guess is, in a couple days, even as the temperatures drop, iron toxicity is going to establish itself in those broadleaf weeds, and they will die even as temperatures drop into the 20s overnight. Generally speaking, if your daytime temperature gets up to 50 degrees in the middle of the day, you can apply an Iron FeHEDTA product to pretty much any grass type outside of bent grass. And it's going to go to work killing the broadleaf weed almost instantly. So if your daytime temperatures are getting into the low 50s at any point from December, January, February, and you're getting a couple days in a row where that daytime temperature is getting up to 50, then that is an acceptable time, in my opinion, to pull out that Iron FeHEDTA product and go find the small broadleaf weeds that have started emerging and spray them down at the warmest part of the day. Even if the overnight temperatures drop down low later in the day and into the next day, the product will still kill them off. All right, it's December 10th now. It's been 6 days since I applied the weed killing product to weeds, a few weeds in my lawn and a few next to my lawn. I have to call this right now. I got to stop documenting this because we're expecting snow on the ground for the next, I don't know, a lot of the next week or so, starting late tonight, tomorrow morning. It was 19 degrees in the morning today. And I say that because this weed killer stuff is still, the iron product is still killing the weeds in the ground. Today, the high temperature, I'm wearing a sweater now, the high temperature today was 36 degrees. Take a look. These are the last weeds that I sprayed here in the lawn. 6 days, this thing is crispy. I mean, it doesn't feel crispy,
but man, it looks crispy. This thing is dead. And right here, you can barely even tell that there used to be a weed there at all. Come over here next to the fence line. These I probably didn't spray very good, but this big one that I was curious how it was going to go, it seems to be holding up better. There's definitely some damage to some of the leaves. I'll be interested to see if that continues to die over the next few weeks. Next to it though, I sprayed that one down. That one looks like it's dying to me. Just looks like it's taking a little bit longer than the one in the lawn. Some of these other little ones are folding over. Look at that one right there. That really looks like it's dying quickly. Let's go back over to the first one that I did in the lawn.
Hi.
Hey, it's cold out here for a t-shirt.
Not cold.
Oh my gosh. All right, look at this over here. Look at this guy. That looks like a hard dying process right there. 6 days in cold weather. And then the little teeny one right next to it. Death, man. Death. The grass itself looks completely unfazed. I'm going to flash you some before and after pictures of some of these weeds that I sprayed 6 days ago versus what they look like today. This is going to continue working for I don't know how long, maybe the next couple weeks or so, but it's slow. Even though this is working in really cold winter time temperatures, it's not touching the grass and it is killing the weed. So this stuff is going to be under snow for a while. We'll take a look at it later, probably in January at some point, unless we have a nice little warm up and a melt later in the month of December.
If your daytime temperatures aren't getting up to 50 degrees, then this probably isn't going to work. So you're going to have to time this based on your forecast. So throughout the cold season and the winter, if you're looking at your 10-day forecast and you're seeing a warm up at any point, look to the end of the warm up as your best opportunity to kill some of the broadleaf winter weeds in your lawn. I would also greatly encourage you to plan for the end of winter for the application of a pre-emergent. Now you can do chemical pre-emergence or you can do organic pre-emergence. In previous years, I've used the chemical kinds. In the coming years, I'm going to be experimenting with some of the organic kinds. Up here in the corner, I've got my entire video all about the differences between all of the pre-emergents. Take a look at it because that will keep the weeds from entering your lawn in the first place.